Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Kuni 2 on the GeForce GTX 1060 3GB. For performance monitoring, I'll be using Cam. If you want to download the software, there's a link down in the description. So Kuni 2, I'll be doing 1080p, 1440p and 4K. To skip down those sections of the video, check the description below. So first of all, I'll show you 1080p on the G4560 just to show you how the CPU performs on this game. And overall, I didn't see a difference between the G4560 and Ryzen 3 on this game, because this game is more GPU bound than anything else. Then I switched to the Ryzen 3 1200 with a 3.9 GHz overclock, and I show you once again 1080p with the maximum settings, and we're pretty much over 60 frames per second all the time. After that I switched to 1440p with maximum settings. You'll see around 45-ish FPS in the worst case scenario. Then I just lower a few settings in order to try and get 60 frames per second. If you want more consistent frame rates than shown in the video, just turn off depth of field, and it should be a little more stable overall. Still a great experience, don't get me wrong, just being over 50 frames per second is smooth enough for me, but if you have a different opinion, just turn off depth of field and you'll be fine. And finally I switched to 4K and I did a little overclocking on the GTX 1060. I was around 2 GHz on the core clock and I added 400 MHz to the VRAM, so we had a small FPS boost. And once again I'm just doing two configurations. The first one is almost the highest settings. I just turned off anti-aliasing and lowered the shadows from high to standard. That was what I needed to do to be over 30 frames per second with the maximum graphics possible. And then I just lowered the settings to the minimum except in textures, and the game was in the high 30s or low 40s pretty much. But now I'm going to talk to you about the options menu and my experience testing this game. Sorry about the delay on this one, I had a lot of games to test. There were too many releases too close together. So in the options menu we got a lot of options, and the ones that have the biggest impact in performance, first of all shadows. By just lowering it from high to standard you get a noticeable FPS boost. Then sun shafts, depth of field and motion blur. By lowering those three together is usually a good FPS boost as well, especially when you're fighting on open areas, because there's a heavy use of depth of field. Then SSAO and SSR, they do make a difference in performance, but it's not that big, so when I usually need a couple extra frames, I just lower those from high to standard, and that's enough to get a decent boost in performance. But unfortunately, from the highest to the lowest settings, there's not a huge performance difference. For example, on my 1050 Ti on 1080p, if I go ultra settings, I get 45-ish FPS. But if I drop to the lowest, I'm very close to 60 frames per second. Not perfect, but very close to that number. So yeah, first just lower shadows one step below, turn off sun shafts, depth of field and motion blur, and that should give you a good enough boost to see how you handle things from there. You can also uncap the frame rate from the options menu, cap it at 30, cap it at 60, whatever you want. And on the anti-aliasing options we have FXAA, TAA, SMAA and SMAA T2X. Usually FXAA and turning it off are very similar, but if you want better image quality overall, I would recommend using SMAA or SMAA T2X. That's personally what I prefer, since TAA in my opinion looks a little too blurry for me. But yeah, just try it out and see which one looks the best according to you. Also the game seems to be using very little RAM, which is a good thing. We had like 5.3 GB of system RAM free, that we have around 2.7 gigabytes of system RAM usage, counting Windows plus the game plus background programs, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this game uses very little RAM, it seems. The area I tested was the one that gave me the biggest performance impact. At the start of the game you're just trying to escape from a castle. That's like a 1 hour and 20-minute sequence, because there's a lot of dialogue. It's also the tutorial pretty much, and that area is like double the performance compared to the area I'm testing, so keep that in mind. While you're in an open area plus a lot of foliage and fighting some enemies, is usually a bigger hit to the performance. Plus there's a very heavy use of depth of field in this game, so that's a performance impact as well. And also when the characters use their powers and you have some effects like fire on screen or smoke, those are usually sudden big hits to the GPU, but it usually handles it quite well. That's why I don't see any effect quality option, but still the game runs pretty well, I have to say. And I recommend taking a look at the game reviews that I left down in the description from sources that I really trust when buying a game or something like that. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Here goes nothing. on! I'll do my best!
Keep this!
Come on! Come on!
You ready for this? Here goes nothing.
I'm counting on you! Come on!
Here goes nothing.
Careful, everyone! I'll do my best! Careful, everyone! Careful, everyone! I'm counting on you!
Here goes nothing.
I'm counting. Careful, everyone!
Eat this! Watch your backs!
I'm counting on you! Careful, everyone! I'll do my best!